Hello everybody, my name is Sam Harkin and welcome to Reviews Day. As you may notice, this is mainly going to be an audio based one. I'm going to include like pictures and stuff from anime. It's because I'm trying to transition Reviews Day into being more like the visuals being more related to the actual thing I'm talking about. So I'm just gonna have like some pictures and stuff. I'm probably not gonna go all out and get like videos because I don't know, whether or not they're gonna be like, how could you copyright infringement, blah 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 blah. But so I'm going to review 11 pilot episodes for 11 new fall anime shows that are coming. So I'm going to break them down. I'm going to first talk about the plot of the first episode, but I also have a synopsis in case you are interested in what the full show is supposed to be about, because I just thought it'd be a nice comparison. I'm going to talk about what I like or what I didn't like, and how I think this show is going to go in terms of, firstly in terms of narrative, and secondly in terms of how much I'm going to watch it. So first off, we have The Perfect Insider, something like F something. I couldn't really be bothered writing the whole thing down because I don't give a fuck about this show. Oh, I already spoiled what I think about it. Okay, so the plot is very simplistic, I guess. Well, it's not simplistic, but given what we actually know and what's actually happened, it's pretty basic. There's a girl, and I think she's rich, and she likes her teacher. I don't even know what he teaches in. Another example of how little a fuck I give about this show, and how little the show gives a fuck about telling any kind of fucking story. And there's something about murder and stuff. So the things that I like, it looks pretty. Yay! It has a nice opening, and it does the thing that I like when they have character drama kind of anime, where they focus all the animation on, like little detail things, which is nice. And there's going to be a mystery, hopefully. The problem that I have is, even though they do have some nice philosophy, they have philosophy that is like 3 questions. Who are you? Where did you come from? Where are you going? That kind of philosophy I love. They have a lot of the other kind of philosophy that I hate, that completely derails the story. My favorite example is they have a scene where the main girl is talking to a woman who is just full fucking robot mode about everything. And they start off by going like, what's 1,372 times by 806 or something? And they start off, with just mental maths, because, that's a really good way to show how smart and mature your show is to just put some fucking mental maths in there. They do all that, they discuss why 7 is the loneliest number, and it's only after that the girl asks, so why did you murder my parents? Or I don't even know if it was parents. Like, I really couldn't even pay that much attention, and I'm not going to go into a wiki and find out, because I don't give a shit about this show. Because what show starts off with mental maths and prioritizes having that? And what character would prioritize having that over asking somebody about why murder happened? I mean, the plot is, and this is the other point that I have, the plot is just drip-fed. There is so little that I know about the show from this. I know, very basic character things. I know generally that they're going to meet this woman at some point. And the only other thing that I know about this show is that I don't think I'm getting past episode 2 at all. In fact, I am going to be impressed if I manage to get all the way through episode 2. I don't even think I'm going to last that long before I just get really angry and just go, I'm not watching this shit anymore. Okay, moving on to the next one. Number 10, Hacker Doll. I think it was Personal Entertainment AI. I did shorthand on like half of these. So the plot is a little basic. It's think of it this way. So Google and Facebook and tons of other internet companies will look at like your history and look at the kind of stuff that you click on, and will target ads specifically for you, right? We all know this, don't we? This is essentially if you made Facebook or Google into like a humanized form, like you anthropomorphize one of these kinds of websites and you made it into an anime. There are 3 girls, they just come into some woman's house and go, hey, you like drawing naked men, how about you read this manga with naked men in it? Sure, like I'm actually, one thing that I might actually check while I'm doing this, because I actually think this could be an app and maybe they're just advertising, because that's the only thing that really explains this. Because, okay, good thing, it's short and cute. Everything else is pretty either bland or just awful. So, the characterization, pretty much non-existent. Like, it's existent in the sense that I remember one of them was really sleepy all the time, which I wouldn't really say is the strongest kind of character trait. It really rushes from joke to joke, and it's just not humorous. It's humorous in the sense that it's like if you had a co-worker who you know is OCD, and when he goes on his lunch break, you get a 5-year-old in to just throw his papers everywhere, and then when he has like some kind of breakdown, you just like go off to the bathroom and laugh about it. That's what the humor feels like. It just feels like somebody's walking into somebody's house, going through all their stuff, embarrassing them, and the person gets angry at them. And that's supposed to be funny. I don't really see that. And I really don't see that being anything that I am, particularly interested in, because I don't think they're going to go for a continuous kind of style, because it's only 7-minute episodes, so it's probably going to be like, now we're focusing on a guy that's like a jock, and now we're focusing on like a guy that is a total nerd or something. So I mean, the fact that it is short, they're 7-minute episodes, means that in a way that's sort of going to encourage me to be like, it's not that much of a commitment, I can watch this. But at the same time, there's no real reason I see to want to commit to that. So, yeah, I don't think I'm going to get very far with that in particular. Okay, number 9, we have Iron-Blooded Orphans, which is Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans. Got the full one that time. Disregarding the fact that, there's iron in hemoglobin, and hemoglobin is, in blood. So all orphans are already iron-blooded. But let's just ignore that. So the plot of this is we have a young, I believe she's a princess of Mars, who's kind of, like, I think she's kind of an aristocrat, but she also wants to be helping out the poor. So she's kind of, one of those, she's the head of the rebellion, she's the face of people who want to change the status quo kind of stuff. So, people are like, oh no, not changing the status quo. So, this was an interesting one. I in many ways, I'll be honest, I'm not much of a mecha fan, and I haven't watched much of Gundam, so, the fact that this is 9th shouldn't really be that much of a surprise. But I was surprised both pleasantly and unpleasantly with this. So firstly, the stuff that I liked. I did like that the main characters had a bit of variation. They weren't all, these big white guys that look perfect, like we got like a pudgy guy and we got like a black guy kind of stuff. So having, a bit of a mix with that, I thought was alright. The thing that I did really like is the drama that they went for, because, the drama that you usually have with shonen stuff is all like the power of friendship kind of stuff, and like believe in the heart of the cards kind of stuff. So, you know, it's all very, you know, belief and friendship kind of stuff, which is, you know, a bit annoying after a while. So this kind of went for a more kind of child soldier angle. So, you know, the characters are seen by their superiors and understand that they're being seen by their superiors as being expendable kind of resources. And it's also interesting to see some of the interactions with the higher characters. So, for example, the main character showing the princess around, like, refuses to shake her hand because his hand's all dirty, but then also comments that, oh, well, I'm already beneath you as it is, kind of thing. So I thought that was interesting. The other thing that I liked was they had some stealthy sniper stuff, which I thought, you know, was a nice little thing to the drama before it descended into mecha stuff, and now we talk about the cons. So mecha, firstly, isn't very my thing, and I think the reason for that is it's just very tangential to the whole shonen thing, which I'm fine with shonen. It's just that, you know, when you have battle after battle after battle, it's either going to get very repetitive or you're going to have to drag out the battles to make them seem more dramatic, and that also doesn't really bode well. And also, you know, you can have ones that go on for 500 episodes, and which, like, I have no idea how anybody can consistently watch a show for 500 episodes like that, but, you know, if that's your thing, whatever. But the issue that I found that I wasn't expecting with mecha stuff is that it become, like, the army versus army thing, everybody's shooting and everybody's moving, and it just becomes so completely impossible to follow everything that's happening. I mean, in many ways it is good because they color code the tanks, so you can say, like, oh, the blue ones are the bad guys and the brown ones are the good guys. But then again, that also has an issue of, you know, you have one guy who's commanding everything and you're saying, Jerry, go down the flank, and Philip, go round the back, kind of stuff. And, you know, that can be hard to follow usually, you know, with all, like, lingo and stuff, but it becomes completely impossible to follow when you can see all the tanks look the same, and you have, like, intercuts between these same looking tanks and people. So some of the time it can be very difficult not only to follow, you know, which character is called what, but, you know, which tank belongs to which character, kind of thing. Like, some of the time they do make it obvious. Like, they have a few where he's like, I'm gonna attack him from the front, and then you see, like, a guy go on the front. You're like, oh, it's that guy. It just can be so much harder to follow. Like, it's kind of sometimes like watching a shonen blindfolded. Like, it's just noise and yelling and stuff, and you're not sure what's going where. As for what I think of this show overall, how far I think I'm going to get into it, I think I'm going to give it, you know, like a good 4 episodes. If the character drama keeps going on and, you know, the mecha stuff, you know, becomes a bit easier to follow, maybe I just, you know, have to watch a bit of it to, you know, get my head around stuff, you know. Pretty, like, if all else fails, I'm pretty happy to report that this was a bit above my expectations, but, you know, I still want to be a bit cautious and, you know, say, you know, 4 episodes, probably figure out if I want to say it by then. Let's see, number 8, Young Black Jack. So, this is based on another thing that I haven't watched, and I'm trying to find where I put my notes. There we go. So it's based on the original Blackjack, which was made ages ago. I don't remember exactly when it was made, like, probably like 80s, 90s kind of stuff. You know, like, a bit, you know, earlier than my time. So I am aware of the prestige, and I understand, you know, kind of the whole idea that he's a surgeon, but he doesn't play by the rules. And, you know, he's kind of notorious for just kind of jumping in and doing stuff and ignoring regulation kind of stuff because he wants to just save the people. So So just to quickly go through the plot, it's, ambitious experimental surgeon. He saves a child from having to do a double amputation, so it's that kind of standard stuff. At the end, we get a bit of a glimpse of the father was like, oh, you weren't accredited, so I could sue you, so I'm only going to pay you like a tenth of what I was going to pay you. So it is interesting. Like, I am wondering if they are going to, keep going down the line with the whole what's the price of a human life kind of thing. But I think there's always something that I find interesting about seeing kind of a shonen, but a shonen that isn't focused on fighting. So, like you have, like I watched Food Wars, which is kind of a shonen that's based on cooking. You have, I want to say Yakitate Japan, but that's pretty much the same thing. What else do you have? But you like in this case, you obviously have surgery as opposed to, fighting. So, that's a pretty cool thing. And yeah, I do like the price of life theme. The problems I guess I have with that is, firstly, I'm curious as to how long will it be before it does have the issues that I worry about with shonen, where, it becomes repetitive or it becomes, boring, and it just, starts retreading and like all the stakes start to fall out kind of stuff. In this one, I don't know, I wouldn't say it was terribly dramatic, but at the same time, it is the first one, so it's, it's possible. We're probably reserving the let's bring this person that's been dead for 25 years back to life kind of bullshit that you'd be having near the end. So for me, I think I'm probably going to get at least halfway through the season, and I guess when I get halfway through, we'll have to kind of see if I've had my fill at that point, or if I'm, still like, oh my god, this is so amazing, I have to keep watching this kind of stuff. So we're kind of getting into the better stuff now. Number 7, we have Dance with the Devil. So, the plot of the first one, girl gets called up to the school board, and there's some weird supernatural stuff happening with that. When she returns home, her house is ransacked, but then she calls the police and then the house is not ransacked. But also, her mother's probably been kidnapped. And eventually she is rescued by one of the school board members, who, even though they don't specifically say it, is a devil. And like, you might be like, oh, but how could, it's called Dance of the Devil. And also, they had like a musical number that was pretty obviously suggesting that they were supernatural beings of some kind. So, stuff I liked. I really liked the opening. It was very dramatic. It was kind of, that classic kind of choral, like choir of "all the demons come" kind of thing. So, it was very dramatic and very gothic kind of opening, which I thought was, a very nice scene setting thing. I do like that, even though this is a harem, I probably should have mentioned that. Wait, is it harem or... No, reverse harem, I should say. Even though this is a reverse harem, they did very quickly kind of implement the backing story of it. So, her house gets ransacked and she's been attacked by these crazy people, and also they think that she's hiding the grimoire, which is very important to them for some reason, and now she's being taken in by the demon school board people. That's a very good start. Like, the only... I haven't really watched that many reverse harem ones. Like, I had watched one that was Amnesia. That didn't have a good backstory. The good backstory that they had was she has amnesia, and they didn't really utilize it at all. In this one, it feels like they have come up with a good idea, and they're already putting it to good use. And I think that is a very exciting thing, because I feel like with ones that are focused on romance, they don't really tend to have anything except the romance. The rest is just kind of set dressing, and this feels like it's set dressing, but it's set dressing that actually means something. So, that makes me a lot more excited. See how that goes. And also they gave, the main girl, I feel, a bit more backstory than is, the standard blank slate. Granted, it's kind of, your standard, like, I believe in just normal, average, moral kind of stuff. She's not like a fucking saint, but she's not a sinner either. Issue that I have is they have quite a few musical numbers, which might not sound like a bad thing to some people, and I'm not a massive musical fan, but the issue is it just doesn't really make any sense in context, because, we're talking about, like, she's falling in love with literal demons, and she's going, la da da, la la la, I'm gonna be romance, and that kind of makes sense, but then they also have a word, fire, brimstone, demon, da 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 da, like, that really undermines the whole demon thing if you're going to do a fucking Broadway musical about it. So yeah, that wasn't as good. As for the future, I'm kind of a bit concerned about the whole fact that we're essentially going for a good demons and bad demons thing, because I'm not sure how well they're going to be at pulling off the fact that there are good demons, because, that's fairly oxymoronic as it is. And, I might watch all, but I might also run out of steam. So, we'll see how that goes. Number 6 is Asterisk War, and that's actually the last one. No, it isn't the last one. I'll shut up. Let's see. There is this massive thing that happened, the kind of life-changing, world-changing event is called Inversia. It messed with morality, but tons of people got superpowers, so yeah. God, I hate when people are just walking near my house. It makes me nervous. So, there is dueling going on, there is unintended perversion happening, and it's established that there is a 6 school tournaments for supremacy, and if you win, you get a wish. And I don't know how to feel about that part, because it's just like, yes, it's totally going to be shonen. So the things that I liked about this episode, I always like the kind of whole fighting with classmates, because I very much like it when, you have villains, but you have villains that, you still interact with on some way, so it's not, just like a cut and dry good and bad kind of thing. I thought the character design was great on pretty much all of them, and the ending theme was also pretty fantastic. The issues I guess I have, some of the characters I feel like I've seen like before in, various other forms. So that kind of messes with it a bit, and kind of my feeling as to the future, once again, I can't really say that that I'm so sold on it just yet to say, oh, I'm going to watch every single one. But, I feel like I'm a good way there. I'm feeling confident that they're going to do this right. And, we'll see if that ends up coming to fruition. And now we are officially in the fairly awesome category of the top 5. And all of these I've kind of said that I'm probably going to watch the entire thing front to back. But, we'll see. So, first off, we have Attack on Titan Junior High. Where did that end up being? There it is. Okay. So, obviously, this is based on Attack on Titan. I think there might actually be a manga, Attack on Titan Junior High. But, obviously are both based on Attack on Titan and the fact that it was super popular and like, oh, we can make more stuff out of this. So, the plot is, it's kind of a bit fractured in that it kind of, goes from, one sketch and then kind of transitions into another sketch, sort of. Because it doesn't feel like it's completely flowing. It's kind of like, we're going to go to this place and do this thing for a bit. And then, no, you went to the wrong place, go here, do this thing in this place for a bit. So essentially the plot goes, Eren runs into everyone, then they get to school, but then they go to the Titan school instead, and they have all the, oh my god, we're in the Titan school kind of thing. And then they end up getting directed back to the place where you can have the final joke thing, which is about the fact that Titans just steal everybody's lunch. So, good stuff. It's cute and comedic. I mean, it's pretty obvious, and I think it's possibly made all the more enjoyable for me personally, and I imagine for most people, just the fact that it is such a sharp contrast between the really, really, really dark and like gory and horrifying nature of the original, and this just being like a cute chibi character kind of thing. And it is actually like a little bit shorter than is the standard. Like the standard, I think, is supposed to be about 25 minutes, and this is about 17, I think. So, I always like it when, you can make it a bit shorter. I mean, obviously the priority is that you make it good and then shorten it, not to make it just short, as we learned because of Hacker Doll. So yes, don't do that. The things that I found a bit annoying, so they include the dramatic bits, and I'm kind of fine with it because it's kind of like a, oh my god, it's so scary, and then like it's just like all of a sudden, oh no, it's comedic kind of stuff. It's a bit jarring though, because quite a lot of the time, especially near the start, which is, when you are kind of setting the mood, like it goes on long enough to be like, oh, it's not a joke, it's actually a dramatic thing, and then, oh no, wait, it's a joke. It'd be nice if, the whole dramatic bits were a little bit shorter, because I feel like the timing's a little bit off with that. But ultimately, it's great. It's just this wonderfully cute. It reminds me a lot of Teen Titans in terms of, just humor coming out of nowhere, like messing with the art style to invoke some of that humor stuff. And I can totally see myself watching the full thing, as I previously said, and I'm going to say for all the other ones when I get to them, so, let's see. Number 4, Showmin's Sample. This is the last one that I watched. So the plot of the pilot is that there is a commoner boy who is essentially kidnapped, which is a little concerning, and brought to a prestigious girls' school so that they can learn the ways not only of boys but also just kind of being a commoner, because once they leave school they have to go to the commoner city and get completely overwhelmed with all the commoner stuff. They don't have any street smarts, I guess you could say. So I actually did really like it. I think obviously you have to draw like some comparisons between Ouran High School Host Club and Showman Sample, because the main character is a commoner, completely fish out of water kind of situation. It's one of them, this one's a harem and the other one's a reverse harem. They're mixing a bit of comedy, drama, and romance together. So, it is outlandish, and I do like that they brought in some character drama stuff, albeit character drama stuff, in the last, 2 minutes, which was like, couldn't we have a bit more? And I do kind of like the whole commoner as a life coach kind of thing, and the fact that they're going to be developing seemingly a commoner club. The one issue that I have with it, and I imagine this is something that this is just going to kind of fade into the background over time, is the kind of petting zoo nature, kind of, because absolutely everybody is like a girl and is all like high class and everything, and is so like, oh my god, what's this, a smartphone? It's like a commoner phone. And it becomes a very petting zoo. And I think Ouran did it a bit better because, they humanized the characters a bit more, like they were very suave and everything, but they also, got embarrassed and stuff. Whereas this one, there was one point where a girl was trying to return the smartphone to a boy, so she wrote a note, in fancy ink and everything, and then put it in a box, and then put like some sweets, and then put like the phone, and then put it in a box, and then wrap it up, and then put it in a bag, and then give the bag to the boy. Like, and there were just multiple parts within it where I was just like, we understand the joke, you can just get to it. You know, like, if you, like, wrote a note with a fancy thing, like, I thought, oh, that's very cute and funny. But, you know, when it just gets into layers and layers of, like, pageantry, it's like, okay, we get the joke. You're just taking it too far. But, you know, I'm assuming and hoping that, you know, as all the girls become wise to the commoner ways, and also, you know, they become friends and stuff, and, you know each other, you know, like normal people, you know, that will kind of start to, you know, fade into the background and won't be too much of an issue. And I'm pretty much, I'm convinced that the whole season's going to be great. As I said, I'm taking it in a very Auron kind of way, and I imagine, you know, it will to a certain extent have the same kind of appeal to that. Anyway, number 3 is One Punch Man. So I actually heard about this at a comic book shop, so I mean, I was already, like, pretty excited for this. But, you know, issues, we'll get into that. Let's start off with the plot. So we essentially find out One Punch's backstory, where he was like, screw it, I don't want to go job hunting, I'm just gonna, like, be a hero and shit. But he trains so well that he can defeat all his enemies in one punch, thus his name. And he's, you know, become a bit kind of, God, why won't anybody, like, challenge me kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's seemingly going to be him trying to find a worthy opponent. So, you know, we'll see how that works out. So, lots of things I liked about this. I like the fact that it's kind of a dark shonen story. Like, there's a whole bunch of, like, oh my god, my parents are dead, and then just ridiculous nonchalant kind of comedy. And it reminds me of two things. Firstly, it's kind of the polar opposite of Stoker, which I talked about in a previous video. But there's build up. They don't even let the build up finish before they just, you know, one punch dead. And also kind of reminds me a bit of Welcome to Night Vale, in the, you know, it's very dark and stuff, but, you know, there's this guy that's just like, whatever, I mean, giant, just like stepped a hole over the entirety of the city, whatever. It's a bit gory up to points, which, yes, I love the kind of absurd backstories and, like, names of all the characters, because, you know, that is probably going to be one of the main features, is the fact that, like, oh, there's all these colorful and weird and stupid stories, and, like, the story that they have in this of, like, the strongest man, I thought was hilarious. It's like, no, my brother stuff. Oh, you have to watch it. It's so dumb and so funny. And it's almost absurdist, because, you know, he's completely lost all kind of meaning in his life. So I don't know if they're going to really do anything with that philosophy thing, or if that's just going to be, you know, like a funny thing that they're going to layer on it. I hope that they will kind of delve into it, but, you know, I don't think by any means it would be a deal breaker for me. And oh my god, I can totally see myself watching this, and that's honestly very impressive, because, you know, not into shonen because it gets so repetitive. We have a guy that can kill people in one shot. So, I mean, if they can pull this off, like, this will be a complete reversal, probably, on my opinion of shonen stuff. I might have to venture in and see if I can find any other ones that work like this. Okay, number 2. Oh my god. Utawareru Mono. And I think it has a subtitle, The False Faces, or something like that. I don't know. It's really great. Yeah, The False Faces. So, we have an amnesiac protagonist in a strange fantasy land thing. He meets a girl who's also a cat girl who acts as his guardian. And he has to kind of get accustomed to, you know, the new society and working and being part of the community and stuff. And this is pretty damn good. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm not really a high fantasy kind of person. Like, I'm very much like, I like my fantasy to be a bit grounded, because, you know, some of the time you can kind of get into like, let's just have everybody be like an elf. I'm like, why can't we just have everyone be a human if you're gonna make them all the same kind of thing? And why do we have to learn all these new words kind of stuff? But having said that, like, I got like 5 minutes in and I was already just like, I need to see like the entirety of this show. It just was awesome. It was exciting. It was intriguing, despite the fact that the main guy was an amnesiac. He's not completely devoid of, you know, characteristics, you know, because usually, like, if you have an amnesiac character, you know, that will be kind of like, oh, he doesn't have any experiences, he does not have, and then like you'll also go on and be like, he doesn't have any personality traits, therefore I can identify with him as a character because he's potentially had the same experiences that I have, you know, and every kind of trait that they have will be very, you know, standard of, you know, just people. Whereas, you know, this like guy, he can be lazy, he's very, you know, confused, and he's, you know, a bit disoriented, but he's willing to kind of deal with his situation. So, you know, he is like a bit kind of blank slatey, but, you know, not bad. And the thing is, he's also kind of the smart character in amongst a society of brawny characters, which I always love. The plot seems to be goal orientated. So I don't actually remember the circumstance, but there was something that was like, if you get to the mountain or something, you can have all your dreams come true and stuff. And, you know, it's implied that that's where they're going to go, but it's not kind of this strict, like, linear thing straight to this point. So it just really interests me. Like, it seems to have that kind of style that I haven't watched Mushishi, but I very much get that vibe from, of being, you know, this calm fantasy kind of stuff that's almost, you know, meditative and philosophical and amazing like that, and just looks a treat. So now unfortunately, I do have some gripes with it. The whole Catgirl thing felt a bit jarring. Now, it is brought down a lot by the fact that everybody's kind of got animal features, but it still was a bit weird. And the thing that also really bugged me was the comedy. The comedy wasn't always bad, and I'm very much a believer that, you know, if you have anything philosophical, you should still have something comedic, because I feel like, you know, life is both dramatic and comedic. And, you know, if you just say, oh no, just drama things, that's all we want, then, you know, I personally think you kind of miss the mark a bit for me. Having said that, that also assumes that the comedy's good and that the comedy is appropriate. And there's points where it's just like a Catgirl just like peeking her head into the sauna while the guy is naked. I'm like, that doesn't really fit the tone that I feel this is going for. Like, in a philosophical thing, having just a girl just peeping Tom look at a guy naked, that's not what I want to see. That's nothing that I want involved in that experience, and I don't think it improves the experience. But having said that, I am totally going to see this through. Once again, you know, after that first 5 minutes, I was just like, this looks so interesting, and I really want to find out everything that's happening. So yeah, I'm totally into that. And the last one, number 1, I have been talking for 40 minutes, holy shit. My favorite, and the one that I definitely think you guys should check out, is Concrete Revolutio, or Revolution. I don't know. It could be Revolution. It could be Revolution because it's revolution without an N, or it could just be Revolutio because, you know, it ends in an O kind of thing. I don't know. I think it's a great show though. So, the plot, there is a waitress who's secretly a magical girl. she helps out a mysterious young fellow, helping steal helping intercept stuff that's going back and forth between a deal between a very prominent scientist and some weird mafia-looking person who happens to be an alien mecha. So the girl ends up being also an alien and also a magical girl kind of thing. So that was kind of awesome, but weird. And they do all the fighting and stuff. And the girl ends up joining kind of a superhuman group who kind of polices superhuman groups, if that makes sense. And the main guy steals a mech and stuff. And basically, this just, it just looks really cool. So the good stuff, and I don't actually have any bad stuff listed. I'm pretty sure I could come up with something if I wanted to. Like, I guess, what is bad about it? I don't know. I don't know, maybe it might be a little bit complex. Like, I didn't understand exactly some of the stuff that they were on about with, like, planets and stuff. But it's mostly good, like, good stuff. Firstly, I love the kind of mashup world kind of thing where you have superheroes and mechs and aliens and magical girls and just putting them all together. And I think there was a shapeshifter in there at one point, which is also a plus because just shapeshifters are great. It's non-linear, which might be a con for some people, but I don't mind the non-linear style. I guess in a way, it didn't happen with this one, but in future ones, it might get a bit, confusing having it non-linear. And the style is just amazing. Some of the character design, like all the backgrounds are really colorful. Like, when they have, characters walking in the background, some of the characters walking in the background are like green silhouettes. So it just looks so bright and amazing. And honestly, my future predictions, firstly, I think it's going to either be Monster of the Week, like Blood Blockade Battlefront, which I am currently watching, or Darker Than Black, both of which have actually been produced by the same studio. Or it could go kind of in a bit more of a linear thing, a la maybe like a Noragami kind of thing. And the thing that links, and it could also, with like the non-linear style and everything, it could very much do like a Bakano or like a Durarara style stuff. And the thing that unites Darker Than Black and Durarara and Bakano is that they are like my favorite animes. So I am very, very, very excited to see where this show goes. I want to see this so badly. I'm one episode in and I'm already like thinking about, if it goes in this directory, like it will be in my top 5 anime. Like it just looks amazing and I want it and I want more of it, and it is totally my favorite so far. So I've been talking for 3/4 of an hour. Holy shit. That is a long video. I'll make sure to link in the description all like kind of the times of when I'm starting talking about different ones, so you guys can just skip through them kind of stuff. So I'm thinking what I might do is I'll do a roundup kind of thing, kind of like this, when all the seasons are over, or at least 13 episodes, because some of them might be like 24 episode series. So I'll come back and do that and talk about, all the ones that I dropped and all the ones I'm still watching and where they rank. I might also do one halfway through, so, like 7 episodes probably. Maybe, like, we'll see where I end up at that point. Like, maybe if I've got, like, oh no, I have to do this, a review on this, I might not do that. Or maybe, if you guys want to see that, feel free to tell me specifically we'd like to see more like of the anime roundup kind of things. And that's honestly, all I really have to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. Tell me what you thought of some of these anime, and I will see you guys first Tuesday of the month. Woo. Okay, bye.